Okay guys, I wanted to show you some of the tools that they've given to you to help you annotate and to interact with the test as you take it, which should make it less boring and should make it more like taking a paper test. So first, everything's on the screen instead of in a booklet, which is nice because you can zoom in or zoom out. So if the text is too small, you can make it bigger so that it's easier for you to read. If at any time you forget how to use the controls, what the rules are, or things like that, this question mark up in the upper corner will bring up that whole help guide that walks you through in text what all the tools that are available to you are. But I'll show you those right now. Over here is text that you're going to read. Over here are questions that you're going to answer. As you read the text, if you'd like to highlight things, you can highlight and then right click and say highlight selection. So if you read things that you think are important or interesting and you want to highlight those as you go, you can. You can also highlight things that would help you answer a question. So if you read through here, look at the questions, and then go back, you can highlight things that might be useful to you as you develop your question or your answer to your question here. So that's highlight. If you highlight something and you want to undo it, you right click again and say reset highlight, and it'll undo all of the highlights that you've done so far. Also in this section over here, you'll notice some words like depleted. When you mouse over them, highlight like this, and they have little skinny lines above and below them. Those are words that they'll give you the definition to in the glossary if you need them. So depleted, it defines for you. You can close that. If we skim through, another place that I can see is, well, it looks like that might be the only one that they've defined there. Over here, simultaneously, the same thing. You can click on simultaneously and it'll tell you what that means. Solar power, it'll explain what that means for you. So if you see those words that are kind of underlined, those are words that'll be in the glossary. Once you've read the passage or passages and done the work that you want to do with the passages, then you need to tackle the questions, which are over here. So there'll always be directions first. So this one tells you to read the sentences from the question or from the passage. You read it, then it gives you a question. Based on the sentences, what can a reader conclude about the author's predictions to support your answer with evidence from the text? You'll notice there's no multiple choice here, and this is a new thing on these tests, that you're going to have to answer text yourself. So it says, based on the sentences, what can you conclude about the author's predictions? You might want to highlight some ideas over here. You might want to paraphrase. When you're ready, you're going to type your answer here into this box and do the best you can. If you want to take notes on your answer, over here, this ... thing will bring up a notepad. So you can draft an answer or take notes here. You'll notice there's no spell check here, and there's no autocorrect, so you will have to type as accurately as you can, and use periods, use capitals, because it won't make those changes for you. So you can save this or you can cancel. Once you've done the text entry, question number 2 looks a lot more familiar, more like what we're used to. So it says the following question has 2 parts. First answer part A, then answer part B. So part A asks you which statement best summarizes the author's central idea in the homeowner's salvation solar power. You'll notice that's this first article. So it's asking you to give the best summary of the main idea, and so you'd go through and you would eliminate, just like we practiced, anything that doesn't work and choose the best answer from what's left. So if you would eliminate B, you can, okay, so now I've just selected it. If you wanted to strike through, you'd right click on it and say strike through. And you can strike through any answers that you think are incorrect from the ones that are left. You can choose what you think is correct. It does say that you're supposed to be able to flag a question like this and to come back to it later. But it still won't let me, if I try to go next, it won't let me skip the question. So I don't think that works the way they say it will. So I'm going to unflag that. So again, strike through is a right click and then choose strike through. You can undo strike through the same way. You'll notice also, again, there's that glossary option that comes up with words that are sort of underlined. Okay, so there's part A, here's part B, and then here it asks you which detail from the text best supports your answer in part A. So you can choose one or more answers, but since it says which detail, I would guess you would just want one. Again, you can strike through answers that you would eliminate. So that's how you do the multiple choice here and the text entry up here. Once you've answered all the questions on a page, you can save it, you can pause it, or you can go to the next page. I'd do save. And then go to the next page. It'll let you go to the next page as long as you've answered all of the questions. Again, you can't skip questions. The flag thing doesn't seem to work the way they said it would. Some questions will look really weird, like question number 3. Make sure that you read the directions so that you understand what you're supposed to do. The directions for number 3 say, a high school student is writing a letter to the president of the city council about a proposed 9 p.m. curfew, and you'll notice curfew has those little lines, and the definition will pop up if you hit it for the glossary. And a curfew says that you have to be home by a certain time. So there's going to be a 9 p.m. curfew for anyone under the age of 18. Read the paragraphs from the letter and complete the task that follows. You'll notice that there's a paragraph below it, and then if you scroll down below the paragraph, which it's not going to show on the screen, it asks you to use notes to make up your own paragraph that would go into the paragraph where the sentence is underlined right now. So the second paragraph right now only has one sentence that says, in addition to harming the high school students, the proposed curfew would hurt the community as a whole. That's the topic sentence, and then you have to write the rest of the paragraph. And below, again, scrolling won't work for this video, it gives you some key points that you can use to develop that paragraph. So for this one, you have to write your own paragraph and submit it. Again, remember that it doesn't use spell check, so you have to check your own spelling and punctuation and grammar before you submit it. I'm going to skip over to question 5 because that's the next one that looks different. This one you'll notice on the right hand or on the left hand side doesn't have any text. It actually has an audio thing. And if you click play,
in the following presentation you will hear a speaker discuss a debate in sports.
It's going to talk to you. Again, if you would like to take notes while you listen, I would, because I'm a bad listener. You can use the speech bubble over here, and you click that and it will give you a place where you can type your own notes. Those are not your answers to the question. No one will look at those, but those can help you remember what you listened to, if that helps you. This will be a multiple choice answer, so you'll answer the question, you'll do your multiple choice answers after you've stricken through, crossed off, with right-clicking anything that you can eliminate. For the last question, question number 6, I already scrolled down to the bottom so that you can see what's at the bottom. It gives you a list of sources. Here we see source 3 and source 4. Obviously there's source 1 and source 2. You're going to have to read carefully to make sure you understand what it's asking you to do. The directions are down here at the bottom. It says, evaluate the sources, determine if each source is relevant to the topic of the student's paragraph and or is a credible source. Click on the boxes that appropriately describe each source. Some sources will have more than one box selected. So you'll notice, even though there's check boxes here, this is not a multiple choice question. Each source could be relevant, in which case you'd check it, and it could be credible, in which case you'd check it. Source 2 might be neither, so you'd check neither. Maybe source 3 is relevant, but not credible, and maybe source 4 is credible, but not relevant. And so again, make sure that you read the directions carefully so that you know what it's asking you to do in order to answer what you know for the question.